Hey everybody, welcome back to this little mini class that I'm doing on can you run a business in a pandemic? Can you start a business in a pandemic? How can you kick your business out of the park in the middle of a pandemic? So that's really what I want. That's what we're talking about today. Last time we talked about how to do a fantastic long distance session, Zoom session, but I also wanted to talk about how do we do an in-person one? Is it okay to do an in-person one? How do we decide when we're ready to? And then actually, how do we run it in a way that's safe and respectful for everybody? So I think the first thing you need to do if you are contemplating this is to check with the guidelines of your state. So I'm in Massachusetts, and here in Massachusetts, there are really clear phases. So they unrolled, we kind of came out of lockdown with phases. Right now we're in phase 3 out of 4 phases, and that really allows energy workers and people like that to work on people if they follow the guidelines. So whatever, and this varies from state to state. So wherever you are, I think it's a good idea to check on what's going on in your state. Also, what's going on in your city, because I'm out here in central Massachusetts, but if I was in the city of Boston, there may be different guidelines. So do a little research, find out what's going on in your area so that you know. And the way that I'm doing it is that right now I'm doing 4 sessions a day, which is really my normal. And maybe one of them ends up being in person, or 2 of them, and the rest of them people are still opting for Zoom or phone sessions, which is really great. And there's a lot of different ways you can handle this, but what I'm doing is having my people who want an in-person session fill out a form. So if somebody books an online session, we send them a questionnaire form to fill out about, do you have it? It's pretty simple. And it complies with the guidelines that are necessary for working this way in the state. So have you traveled? Are you symptomatic, and all that kind of stuff. So they fill out the form, they send it back so that we know that they're there. There's also part of that can be a waiver that they sign, basically, or a statement that says that they're asymptomatic and they are clear of what they're getting into. You know what I mean? And what the other thing that I'm doing is scheduling my appointments if they are any back-to-back, which hasn't happened that often, with a 15-minute gap in between, so that I'm going to fully clean, wipe down the room with, this sanitary spray and paper towels, or the wipes. And I just wipe down everything that someone would touch: door handles, chairs, the water dispenser, anything that I think anyone's going to touch in my waiting room and in my office in between people. I also have gloves and a mask available in my waiting room too. So for people, and hand sanitizer. So when people come in, I greet them. I'm wearing a mask. I expect that they're wearing a mask. I greet them. And we either do hand sanitizer in that moment, or we go to the washroom and wash. I prefer to wash my hands than use a lot of hand sanitizer. So we go to the washroom, we wash hands. And also in my room, I'm working now, it's because it's summer and I can do this. I work with the windows open. I have 2 windows open, so I have a lot of cross breeze in my office. I keep my client chairs pretty far away from each other so that they're more than 6 feet away. And I fully swap my linens in between clients and take them home and wash them every day with a little bit of bleach in them too. So every client gets a new towel, new sheets. And then that's kind of my baseline. And then I'll really kind of go from there to if my client seems like super uncomfortable in the mask and they're really uncomfortable, then I'll offer to let them take their mask off and I keep mine on. And I kind of feel my way around it, what is their comfort level, and that's how I'm going to go. Now, I might ask them if they want to do table work, because I have a table in my office, and the way that I work is I combine a psychic reading, spiritual counseling, and energy work usually in a session. and I will do some talking, checking in with my client in the beginning, like what's going on, what's bringing you in today, a quick intake. Before COVID, pre-COVID days, then I would get them on the table. And my style of energy work is to do really hands-on touch, because I feel like people need non-sexual, nurturing, safe, healing touch, and that's really something that we all need a lot of. So my preference is to touch, but I always ask my clients, even before before COVID, I would ask, are you comfortable being touched? And it's super, super important to honor, anyone that's not comfortable being touched. So this is something that I just negotiate with my clients, and I give them a lot of options. I'm like, if they want to receive energy work, we can do it chair to chair. And then we stay in the chairs, and I would do long distance work on them while they're doing the session, just like you would do a long distance session. Or I ask them, would they prefer to get on the table? And if they want to get on the table and I can still do the session as I'm sitting in the chair across the room, I can do on the table as if I'm doing a long distance session, right? So we can do it that way. And I've tried it, and people have like incredible experiences. It's very, very effective. It's a really cool way to do that. Or we might, they might get on the table and you can do the entire session with your hands off the body. And many, many Reiki practitioners and other healing modalities train you how to do the entire session without actually touching them. And as I said, that's not my normal, because I feel like everybody needs healthy touch, but it's a great option in this time around. Sometimes, and I'll ask them, okay, would you like to, I'll give them all these options. And then one of the other options I give is I'm happy to do a touch-based session, but wearing gloves. So I have rubber or latex gloves in my office that I've put on, and I find it has no impairment at all on the energy. So it doesn't seem to block the energy at all. And I have my own, like I do Reiki, I do full spectrum healing, and I sort of have my own things my own style, I guess that you could say, which has to do more with like feeling the person's, what's going on in their energy. So I can read their energy, what's happening in any given moment. And also combining that with, the psychic stuff. And later on, in this little mini class, I'm going to teach you how to add in your intuitive hits and psychic hits into your session and do it in an effective and ethical way. So we're also going to talk about that. And I really let people lead like what their comfort is. So I've had people come in my office and be like, I'm taking my masks off. Like I just need to be without the mask. And then I choose whether I'm going to unmask or not. And I've had other people be like, I'm really nervous about this. We need to follow the full protocols. And that's what I do. So I just let my clients lead. And for me, I feel like, there's so many different masks on, masks off. There's a lot of division. There's a lot of disharmony and on this topic and on like what's going on even with the virus. Is it real? Is it a hoax? Is it made up? Is it worse than it is? Is it better than it is? It's such a weird time actually, because it's such a big deal and it's so hard to get accurate information. And my standpoint is to sort of take the middle path, which is to use common sense and err on the side of caution, right? And respect people's desires, respect people's level of comfort, respect their beliefs or their, I've had clients who are like, the virus is a hoax, masks make you sick, not better, masks don't work. I've had other people be like, why isn't everyone wearing masks? Like, what's the matter with people? Like, I just stick to the middle. I just stick to the middle, which is caution and common sense and respect for, just general respect for people's what they need and what's comfortable for them. And I don't know what to say about the whole conversation about this topic. I'm a person that holds a lot of different theories in my head. I tend to be a little more science-based, a little more comfortable with science-based evidence. And I listen to the conspiracy theories. I listen to people's opinions. I naturally attune to see sort of both sides of things and contemplate that. I sort of put it all in a big bucket of contemplation, and somewhere in there I feel the truth. I form a theory. I don't get attached to my theories. I change my theories if the evidence changes. There's just, it's such a tricky topic because it's polarizing and it's triggering, not in so many ways, on so many different levels. So it's a bit of a mess, really, you know, and that's why I'm having this conversation with you all, because I feel like it's important to figure out a way, like what I'm telling you, what I'm doing, you may have a very different comfort set. You may really need to be a person who is very strict about these things. If you have immune compromised people back home, or you are that yourself, you may need to be super strict on this. You also may be a person who really needs fresh air, you know, fresh air, and finds the mask incredibly uncomfortable and not right for you. This is why I think it's a negotiation, and you as a practitioner need to really sit down and feel into what feels right for you. Where on that continuum do you want to be, and how do you make it comfortable for your clients? Because I think one of the most important things about this is if your clients trust you to be sensible or to be careful, they're going to come in for sessions. If they don't, they may consider, you know, reconsider whether that is something they want to do. And I think the trust is a lot about finding what's right for you, figuring out what you're going to do and what also complies to your state regulations, setting the expectations of your clients, and then complying with that. So that everything's upfront, everything has integrity, everything matches. You don't want to say one thing and do something else. That doesn't inspire trust in people. Let your clients tell you what they need and lead the way, and also hold on to your own level of comfort. So if your clients want to take their mask off and you're not comfortable with that, don't do it. Regardless of what I'm doing, if I have a client on the table, I'm keeping my mask on. I allow them to unmask because it's so much more comfortable and relaxing if that's what they want to do. But I'm going to keep mine on regardless, because that's when I feel it, I'm like, you know, that's what I feel like. I need to safeguard them. And I would feel terrible if something happened because I was careless and I wasn't holding up to sort of my end of the responsibility here. So, yeah, I don't know, that I really think that's what it boils down to, is can you create an environment where your clients will come back to you, or new clients will come to you in person if that's what you want to do, because they trust that you are being sensible and you're using common sense and erring on the side of being a little conservative with this, or erring on the side of being cautious, you know. And that's what I think about it. So who knows where we're going to go from this? I feel like this is an important thing to talk about, because we just can't foresee really how this is going to go. If we have a reliable vaccine that a lot of people will take, that's a good, clean vaccine, that would be awesome. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know when that's going to happen. If we had a reliable antibody test that would let you know whether you've had the virus, that would be great. If we knew that if you had antibodies, you would be safe from catching the virus for a good long time. We don't know any of those things yet, and I don't know when we're going to know. So that's why I think that this is sort of like a dance, you know. It's like a dance. We have to be fluid. We have to feel into things. We have to keep up with what's going on. And the state, even the state regulations are very flexible. Some states are opening and then scaling back. You know, that's what in Massachusetts, the governor of Massachusetts has said he would do. So if things if he's open to some degree, and if the numbers go up, he's going back a whole nother phase. So I think we just have to be kind of prepared for whatever we can and do to safeguard ourselves and our clients if we choose to see them in person. Anyway, but I don't think it's impossible. I think it's totally possible, and I'm doing it quite well. How do I feel about group classes? Thank you for the question. And in fact, if you have questions, I'd love to do some Q&A right now. So please write some questions in there. Thank you. I love to do classes and I do groups in the state of Massachusetts. They have so I taught Reiki 3 over the weekend. It was really interesting trying to teach. And in my state, they have like a regulation for the size space, how many people you can have in that space, and what kind of ventilation is possible. So in the space I was teaching, the size of the space, we could have 10 people in that class. So we had me and the person whose space it was, and then 8 other people. And then we did the same thing. We put chairs far apart. So we put the chairs, 6 to 8 feet. It was a big room. We really stretched out the space between chairs. There were a few people that really needed to wear their masks, and did. And there were a few people that didn't, that weren't wearing masks when they were in their own seats, and then, wearing masks when they were walking around. So I think that's, again, something that you have to, kind of like how they do it in a restaurant. When you're in a restaurant, you take your mask off. But if you get up to walk around to the ladies' room or something else, you put your mask back on. To me, that seems sensible. So again, check the regulations because of what's available in your city or in your state right now. And just feel it was weird. And in the beginning of the class this Reiki class that I was teaching, we had a long conversation about it. And I was like, look, before we even start, I want to talk with you guys about what everyone's comfortable with. We talked about it. We decided as a group how we were going to handle it. And then every time we got to a different stage, so that was we had a lecture part of the class. Then we had attunements. Like, how was I going to handle the attunements? I wore a mask and I washed my hands in between each attunement. So I washed my hands a lot. And then when we got to the hands-on, we decided, what were we going to do hands-on? Were we going to do long distance? Not only as a group, but then each person with their individual partner, what they were going to feel like doing it, how they felt comfortable. And because it's super important to me that no one feels uncomfortable, that no one feels scared, that no one feels at risk. And the other thing too is it's so important to remember, you don't know what somebody's situation is. You don't know if they're going home to a family member that has like zero immunity or is in one of those really high risk groups. And that's why we have to, I think, not make assumptions. Let's practice the 4 agreements on this. Don't take things personally. Don't make assumptions. Be true and have integrity with your words, and always do your best. I think that's a fantastic sort of formula for trying to navigate through this time. Anyway, yeah, thank you for saying that. I do really love to do this. And again, so you guys know, I'm going to be doing a free webinar next Monday evening on really going deeper into these topics too, like how do we really do this. And then in the end of the month, I'm beginning a business class called Mastering Your Business Skills for Healers. It's a deep dive. It's 3 months long. It's kind of an intense class. I have to tell you, it's going to put you through your paces around how do you nitty gritty do things like get clients, know how to charge, how to get referrals, how to like manage all the business aspects, how to do networking, how to do marketing, how to do it in this environment, because it's not the same as it was this time last year. We go soup to nuts. 3 months we go hard on how to and specifically for this class that I'm mastering your business skills is for specifically for people that are working as healers. And it's good for you if you have already a practice and you want to increase it, or if you have zero, like you have nothing, not one single client that's paying you, or not one single client ever. It doesn't matter. We will get you moving forward in a way that because you know what, I train healers and I love to train healers. I give them the skills and psychics. Training healers and psychics is really like, I think the world needs all the healers it can get. So training you guys to be at your fullest potential is what I love to do more than anything. And at the same time, the skill set, and if you're looking for a skill building class, like a psychic skill building class, check out my Mastering Your Psychic Ability class. That's also a 3-month program. You can join anytime. It's a great program, and it will build your psychic skills to really high degree of accuracy and skill. And that's half of the equation. The other half of the equation is, how do we run a business? Because if you want to actually change the world, you've got to get your hands on people. You've got to have clients. Knowing what to do is only half. The other half is, how do you get clients? How do you put yourself out into the world? And for many healers, that's a big mysterious thing. They're really good at what they do, and the whole world of business is scary, mysterious, murky. And I've never worked for anyone else in my entire life. I've run my own business for my entire life. And I love entrepreneurship, which is pretty rare. Not everybody does. And I'm pretty good at it. So, and I study all the time. I always have a business coach. I'm always taking a business class because it's interesting to me and I like it. So there's something to me that's super creative and fun about the entrepreneurial process. And for you, it's the other half of the equation, because you could be the best healer on the planet, and if you have no clients, that's a problem. If you want them, and I hope you do, because we're meant to be in the world. We're meant to be helping people. I would like nothing better than to teach you what you need so you can quit your boring, soul-killing day job and open up a practice that is going to support you and your family. I've done that. I know you can do it. If I can do it, I know you can do it. But we need to know how. We need to, and that's tricky. So in my business class, I do a lot of hand-holding. I'm going to spoon feed you these concepts, take you through not only the concepts, but individually, what does that mean for you, so that you can mold it to you, because we don't need cookie cutter healers. You're going to be doing it the way you need to be doing it, and I want to help you get there, because that's where we change the world. If you could be the best healer on the planet, but if you're sitting at home, twiddling your thumbs because you don't know how, the whole business side is overwhelming for you, that we can change that. We can fix that. And that's why I feel so passionately about both these things, training, the skill training and the business development. We need both in order to get you out there. So, because God knows the world needs you. The world needs you. And there are clients out there right now that are your potential clients that are waiting for you to get your shit together so they can find you. I'm just saying. Okay. Anyway, so more on that later. I'm going to be posting about it a lot in the next few weeks, and giving you opportunities to learn about it and talk to me personally about it. You can book a call and we can discuss it if you feel like it's for you. So stay tuned for all of that. And thank you for being here with me today. On Friday, we're going to talk about one of the biggest mistakes that new healers make and how to avoid it. And that is not being clear about what your real gifts are. I know that sounds crazy, but I see it all the time. Okay. We need to really deeply understand our real life purpose. We need to really deeply understand what our actual gifts are. And when we do, and about 3/4 of the people that I talk to get that wrong. They're like, well, I think I should be a medium because that's what I see on TV and that's cool. And my friend does it. But if you don't actually have the skill set for that, if that's not your clairs, or that's not your thing, you will fail, and there's like your business is dead before it's born. And it happens so often. So somehow we don't understand what our gifts are. We can see other people's gifts is really obvious, but when we look you're like, I don't really know what I'm good at. I don't really know what I'm for. I don't really understand what my life purpose is. And I have to tell you, in all the years that I've been doing psychic ability, this is psychic readings for people. It's the number one question I get. What is my life purpose? What is I'm for? What am I for? It drives people nuts to not know that. And most of us don't know that. So I want to talk about that on Friday. How do we know what our life purpose is? How do we know what our gifts and skills really are? Not what we wish they were or we think they should be. Okay? Because once you're aligned with your real gifts, you can't fail. You're going to do it. You line yourself up and you get in the flow of your own soul. You can't fail. I'm telling you, but you will if you're trying to do something or be something you're not. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, that's what we're talking about on Friday. So join me back here, 9:00 Friday morning, and we'll continue the conversation. Have a beautiful day, you guys. Put any questions you have in here in the chat, and we'll keep talking about it. So love you guys, and keep keep doing your thing because it's beautiful. All right, honeys. Bye.